He's got that hook. He doesn't need that hook, right? He's got it there because it's an image. It shows, you know, he's a soldier and he's been in war, and it's just that whole thing. And the media love him because of that hook. And that's what they do. It just reinforces the same thing and creates a climate where people feel justified or feel they are permitted to hate Muslims or demonize against Muslims because of a very, I mean, almost a non-existent minority.
Yes.
And because Muslims aren't a race, it's not racism. Being anti-Muslim is not racist. In theory, it's acceptable though to be anti-Muslim. In fact, it's cool because it's socially accepted. And I think that is the problem with it. Is that it's like, you know, International Draw Prophet Muhammad Day, right? Absurd things like that, right? Deeply offensive for no other reason but to be offensive, right? Because they would never have a draw your typical day, or draw your typical Paki day, or draw your typical Jew day, right? Because that's racism, right? But they do have it about Islam or Muslims because it's justified, right? And I think unless the government really does something to address that issue, you're going to have people offending for the sake of offending, right? And I'm all for free expression and free speech, right? But offending for the sake of offending is, and having the freedom to think, but yet not being free to think for yourself. You're abusing one thing, but not using the other one. But you should use them together. You know, think for yourself, reason, and then speak, right? And you know what? You'd actually stop looking like an absolute dickhead, right? But the problem is with this is that people abuse that one thing because they feel that they can, right? But they don't use the other one, and I think that's deeply worrying.
That's true. Yes.
Just checking over my shoulder. Said the N word slightly loud.
Did, didn't you? Did people treat you differently after 9/11 and 7/7?
No, because I've never experienced what they say Islamophobia. No, that's wrong. I have, because I've been subjected to the state.
I remember in the early years when I used to look for houses for where to live, you know, as a student. Sometimes just, you know, from seeing me, the landlord would say that, you know, suddenly the rooms are all gone, and a lot of people have had to go through this, and it's certainly, you know, nothing new in that sense.
But on the street, someone calling me a terrorist or Taliban or something like that, no, I've not. And I think one of the reasons for that is because that I don't live in a deprived area. Again, we live in a very low, high working class, lower middle class area, where everyone kind of has 2.5 children and minds their own business and kind of doesn't get in each other's way. If you're living in a slightly more urbanized area where you've got terraced housing, not terrorist,
right.
terraced housing, and you know everyone's kind of children are playing out on the streets, I think the experience of that would be quite different.
Yes.
However, you do get some strange looks.